Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Chill Like a Mother podcast. I am here with our guest today because her song ended up in my random Spotify smart suggestions list of some kind, and it stopped me dead in my tracks. And it actually brought tears to my eyes because of its realness, its rawness, the melody and the vocals all mixed together. And so, on a whim, via the wonderful and the awful thing of the internet, we connected and we are now here. And so, tell me, you get a message a lot, right?
I do. And it's funny because, like, when I first started as Mama Nous, I really thought of myself as a children's musician. Like, everything that I do, everything that I create, I'm thinking about from the perspective of my own conversations with my kids were 2 when I started, but now they're 5. And so I'm always thinking through, like, how I would address a topic with them. But one thing I have learned in the 3-ish years that I've been doing this is that because I'm exploring topics of emotional awareness, emotional resiliency, in a way that's accessible to kids, so many adults are like, my goodness, like this is a lesson I wish I had learned as a child, but maybe you had emotionally unavailable parents or just folks who were not clued in that way. And there can be something really powerful about being seen in these lyrics that kind of speak directly to your inner child. Like, I mean them for your kid, but like really they're for you too. So that is a comment I hear a lot of like, wait a minute, I thought this was just supposed to be a kid's song and now I'm sobbing. What's going on? Sorry, not sorry. It's kind of the Mama New effect.
It did. It definitely spoke to this, like, this might have been the words that I needed to hear at like a previous stage of life. Or there's one, I'm gonna put it in the show notes, but there's one song in particular that's in my Finding Resiliency playlist for moms. And it is about this, like, it hits you in this way that's like, oh, those words, I needed to hear those words. And so tell me about the process for you. The, like, is this like a creative outlet? Is it a calling? Like, what would you call this, like, expression of self?
Yeah, I mean, this is definitely my life's work, my soul's calling. It sounds a little bit cheesy, but I almost don't think of myself so much as a songwriter as a song channeler, because a lot of times my very favorite songs, the one that I think have the biggest impacts, are one that I barely had anything to do with. It's like I will get a line in my head or sometimes a full phrase, and I'll be in the middle of a conversation with my husband and be like, we need to pause this because I got to go run and write this down and grab my ukulele and figure it out. But sometimes they're inspired by comments that I get on social media, people being like, oh, we're navigating this experience. Do you have anything that addresses that topic? And if it's something that I experienced either in my own childhood or with my own kids, then I can often be like, yeah, definitely. But I don't like sit down with a topic and say, I'm going to write a song about this and then like carve it out. It's really just wherever I feel moved in the moment. And yeah, a lot of them come through pretty much fully formed. And then I'm just sort of like massaging the meter and the rhyme scheme and the music.
So you get these callings, right? And then what do you do? You're a mom of twins,
Mhm.
and you're a working mom with a successful, don't even get me started on full social media being a full-time job. And I'm like, so you're doing all of these things, and this activity is coming to you, it's calling you, your inner knowing is like, I gotta do this, I gotta follow this. Tell me about time and your relationship with time within all of that messy stuff.
Oh, I love this question. It's kind of amazing, actually. Sometimes I take a look at my catalog. Like at this point, I've released 6 albums in 3 years, and I'm like, how? I don't actually know how I did this. It's kind of wild. The number one thing is a supportive husband. I have to be honest. Like my partner absolutely supports my creative practice, and he understands that it's not just like a business. Like I have to express myself in this way for my own sanity, my own mental health, and also just like for my ability to be a whole person. So he's really good about, if I say like, I need some studio time, he'll be like, okay, I'll get the kids out of the house. We'll keep it quiet. Like you do what you need to do. I think another piece is I'm lucky that my creativity tends to come in quiet moments. So I know that those aren't so common with twins, but a lot of my songs come to me during my commute. So I drive 45 minutes to work. And I very quickly realized that I needed to have like a voice recorder app, like very accessible on my phone. That way I could just be like, okay, here's like a little phrase that I need to work on when I have time. But I have written entire songs, probably at least half a dozen, just on that drive. I think for me, it really comes down to making it one of the top priorities in my life. It's like understanding that when I can, which is not always possible, it is always worth it to drop whatever else is happening in order to honor my creativity. I love people who like have their really structured creative routine and like every morning they have their 2 hours carved out. That is not me. That has never been me, and it will never be me. So for me, it's more about trying to figure out how I can capture those moments of inspiration as they come and also ask for what I need, right? Like tell my husband, like, you know what? I need you to get out of the house for the next 3 hours and not feel guilty about it because it's such an important part of my life.
Yes. Oh, you named something so important in there about not feeling guilty about it. And the piece that a lot of women who come to me or share things on Instagram or read my blogs is that, like, how could you do that around your kids? Or how do you tell them not to mess with your paints? Or and and they know because I solo parent like 50% of the time. My husband has an away job. And so in my life, it is a non-negotiable. And so for some people, it's exercising. They've set up these amazing little exercise spaces in their basements or their garages or whatever. And I add as much care into what people do for physical exercise into creativity. And so it feels a bit like it's not actually something that I am trying to do. It's something that just happens. Like it's in that quiet moment of like, okay, they're playing with Play-Doh and I'm sitting here and I'm kind of done playing with the Play-Doh. So I'm going to pull out my journal. And then if they ask to play with my paints, it's like you can have your own paper with your own brushes, with your paint, but like this is mine. Like this is mine.
Yes. And I personally refuse to feel guilty about that because I think it is so important for my children to witness me prioritizing not only my creativity, but also myself and my boundaries in that way. And I think that that's a piece that I hear a lot of people, mothers who struggle with mom guilt of, feeling bad about putting up those boundaries. And for me, I want my children to grow up knowing that their mother prioritized being a whole person, right? That I didn't lose my entire identity in being their mom, which is kind of an unfair position to put them in of like, oh, I sacrificed so much for you. No, I want to figure out how we can co create this balance that works for both of us, that allows me to show up as the best version of myself I can in this moment. And part of that is like taking care of myself and using my tools and not letting you use my tools because they're very important. Your little xylophone you can play with.
Yes, so much of that is like this is my time and I need it. Like I need this creative time. I need to breathe is how I explain it to some people. It's like some people have their thing, running is their thing or marathons are their thing or going to the gym is their thing. I'm focused on all these physical things, but I make a lot of analogies around creativity and it's some people need that like that same analogy with like going to the gym, right? It's like that feeling that you want, the end of
Mhm.
being at the gym. That is the thing that creativity gives me. Like
Mm.
that is the thing that makes me feel most alive.
Mhm. Yeah, and it's interesting that you use those exercise analogies because, like, I think that's easy for people to understand of like, "Oh, yeah, that's important to you," right? Like, you've got your gym routine, we've all gotta stay healthy, right? That's fine. But creativity feels a little bit less clear cut where it's like, "Oh, that's just like your hobby, like, that's just your little nice thing to do." No, 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 you don't understand. I think for those of us who are like true creatives who need these creative outlets, like it is just as essential as exercise is to other people. Like just in terms of being at peace with my own neurodivergent mind, like I have to express myself in creative ways or else I am, let's just say, not the best version of myself.
Yes. Yes. And so I started that with like this question of time. And you said, well, I have a really supportive partner. And so do you remember getting to that place where you didn't have to explain it? Or was it always just kind of like explicit?
My husband is also a musician, so I think it's just a language that both of us understand, and it goes both ways. So he is also in a band, he has his own musical projects, and it's one of the most beautiful pieces of our relationship that I really, really value is that we are very reciprocal in that, we both understand that in order to be full humans, we need to not only be parents. And so we try to give sort of ebb and flow in the way that we can do that for each other. But it definitely goes both ways. So, yeah, it was never a question of, oh, do you really need to do this? It was more, how much time do you need? And, oh, I'm so excited to see that you're creatively inspired again. Because, yeah, for those first 2 years of my kid's life, it was like, okay, I've got twins and I'm trying to figure out this whole like mom thing and keeping them alive. And there was no creative outlet whatsoever. So honestly, I think he saw it as a positive thing of like, oh, yay, she's kind of coming back to herself.
Oh, was there something in those 2 years that still tethered you to that creativity? Did you still, like, listen to music or consume music or journal? Like, was there something creative in there? And if there wasn't, that's also okay. Yeah.
Well, I'm laughing because I was still singing my kids' songs all the time. I was still making songs up all the time. And it doesn't even like occur to me that that is creativity because I just didn't have an outlet for it. But I was able to sort of hit the ground running as Mama Knew because I just like constantly make up songs for my kids because it's a really nice way to like keep myself from yelling when I feel like I'm like at the end of my rope. But also to like move kids through moments, like translating it into a song can be a lot more effective than repeating yourself. So it's so funny, like my own lack of awareness of just how creative I am because like I can't turn it off. It's just constant. I just don't always notice it.
Oh, I'm gonna get her last name wrong, but her first name is Amy, and she wrote a book called We Need Your Art. And in there, she's basically identifying that, like, creativity is the missing pillar in, like, modern day wellness and how
Mm.
we skip over it a lot for especially for people who maybe don't identify with that, like, it just comes out of me and it just happens. The other day, I set up this, like, dinosaur scene on the table. We've been having some, like, rough mornings, and so I set up this, like, the dinosaurs were eating the cereal, and some of the cereal was, like, out of their bowl, and I texted it to a friend, and she was like, "Kinda like, the fuck? Like, what? How did you
Yeah.
do that? Like, what? It is, like, 6:30 in the morning. What is happening? You never get up this early," et cetera, et cetera. And I was like, "I don't know. It just happened." It was like a thought that came in. I was already putting their stuff on the table, and it was like, "Huh, how do I make this day better? Huh, let's add dinosaurs. Huh, let's have the dinosaurs eating the cereal. Maybe this might turn into a big fucking mess, but I don't know, whatever. I'm doing it anyway." And it like it got the buy-in to them like sit at the table and they were playing. The dinosaurs didn't get into the milk. It didn't turn into this whole big thing that I thought it might,
Mhm.
but it got them to the table and it got them eating the food. And it's like that just it just happened.
Mm. How do I capture what I want to say? One thing I've learned about myself is that I am just like a naturally playful person. And I think it's one reason I'm really effective in doing what I'm doing is because I just like, I've sort of always kept one foot in childhood where it's like things like that just come really naturally to me. Like, oh, yeah, there are dinosaurs here. Like, they're eating cereal. Of course, they'll be interested in that. But it's been funny as like a content creator making videos online trying to keep that in check because to me, it's just like the air I breathe. But my sister actually commented on a video and in it I had said like, "Oh, this is a little song that I use for my kids' transitions, but like if you have a different routine, like just make up your own song." And she started laughing and she was like, "Other people don't just make up songs like you do. Like that's just not really how it works." And I was like, "Oh, yeah, that's interesting. You're right."
Yes, absolutely. I have a similar story. I posted a picture once of my youngest in the tub, and I was sitting on their little footstool, and he was happily playing. He didn't need me to be engaging with him, but he's still young enough that I didn't want to like walk away. And so I went and I gathered my art journal and my markers, and I was just like sitting on this little tiny stool that my butt doesn't even like fit on. And I was just like doodling. And he was asking me what I was drawing. And I made like a person in like a sitting position, like in a thought bubble. And I was gonna like try to capture like all of my thoughts. And someone was like, "Wha-" they were just like, what? You bring your one art journaling. You have a journal for art that doesn't get it seen by anybody and is often really bad. And you bring it while your youngest is in the tub, and then what? But everyone's like, I wouldn't what are you talking about?
Mhm.
Like
Right.
one, journaling, I think, has its own big nuance to it. What do I journal? What's the right way to journal? Do I bullet journal? Do I write journal? Can I scribble in it? Can I there's a whole thing about it. There's like this right way to do it. And I did that in air quotes for those of you only listening to the audio. There is no right way to do it. And it was just like, oh, that just happens for me. Like, I just want to name this. If you're listening and you are in this place right now and you are like, what the fuck are these people talking about? This is so far out of my reach. Maybe I think about it all the time, but I can't access it, or I don't know how to access it, or I used to, but I don't know how to get back to that. When people say things come naturally to them or it just happens, there is something about that that is like an internal resilience that maybe doesn't happen naturally for other people. And resiliency and authenticity and self expression can be something that some people have to try hard at if they want to add that into their lives. And, or it might take a small tweak for some people just to like be able to access it. But for anybody who's in this space listening to these admittedly white women talk about creativity in this way that might feel inaccessible to others, I just want to name that like there are lots of things that come natural to other people that sometimes I wish came natural to me. Like maybe going to the gym or like running. Like I don't think I've literally ran in 20 years.
Yeah, I would love to build off that too, because I think one of the dangers of social media, which is where, so many of us are sort of looking to for inspiration, whether it's creative or parenting or whatever it might be, creators tend to share what comes easily to them, right? And so to me, I'm just sharing, my sort of natural inspiration. And I'll get comments from people saying, like, I don't even know how to be playful. And I think it's so important to remember that, how do I even say this? I think that that doesn't point to any sort of lack. It doesn't mean that you're doing it wrong. It doesn't mean that you haven't reached the right level or anything like that. It's just that this happens to come naturally to me. And that's why I share it, because it's so easy for me. But that in no way is a judgment or like the only way to do it, in air quotes.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I actually love what you said about like the lack, right? Something that women tell me all the time is that it doesn't come naturally to me. And they're often speaking about pieces of motherhood, right? Because they've seen somebody else do it. Putting cereal on the table and letting dinosaurs eat it alongside with their children would never come naturally to them. And that feels like I'm less than. And somehow they're whoever they are, they're more. They have more. They have more money. They have more skills. They have more time. When as I'm sharing this, the pieces of that moment that aren't known or that I didn't share as part of that story is that I think I was on day 6 morning of solo parenting. My partner would have come home the day after that. And I think I'd lost my shit approximately 117 times since he left for those
Hmm.
6 days. And so this one window into what is my life when I'm sharing that online, or this moment that could be perceived as this beautiful moment, me with my journal child happily playing in the tub, not fighting, not splashing, not getting wet, didn't have to fight him to get in it, don't have to fight him to get out of it, is like this is
Hmm.
one 5-minute interval in a slew of other moments that I feel shitty about.
Exactly. And this is like something that I wrestle with as someone who has to show up on social media and like consumes a lot of content as well. When I see like a video of a type A mom who has all of her shit together and like schedules and routines and organization and like her house is beautiful, I'm like, oh my God, I'm a failure. Like, that is not me. That does not come naturally to me. And it's not what I'm good at. So you will never see me sharing about those types of things because honestly, like any organization and structure and routines in my life is thanks to my husband because that is how his brain works. So I think it's so tricky because everybody is always sharing the highlight reel, and there's always so much unspoken and that's not talked about.
Absolutely. And that highlight reel is highly edited. It might still be an authentic moment for the people who actually do strive to create authentic, real, and raw content that we are consuming. Is that it's also highly edited. Even if they're showing you their mess or their home or their organization, they might still have like a Monica Geller closet. They might still have pubes on their bathroom floor. Like, right? They're not, it's still not showing the overflowing garbage of dirty diapers. It's a curated moment. It is still a curated moment.
Exactly.
So, what maybe there isn't anything that you can name, but I need to ask it anyway. What keeps you motivated or maybe not motivated, consistent in your creative practice?
Ooh, I love that you asked that because I have recently, over the past couple months, realized that there is a natural ebb and flow to my own creative process. So I have not written a song. Well, no, I'm sort of back into it, but there was about a 2 or maybe 3 month period where I did not write any music whatsoever. And at first I started to get a little tense about it, like, oh, what am I doing? Do I need to practice? But instead of feeling judgmental to myself, I got a little curious and I was like, actually, this is kind of a pattern that comes up as it gets colder. So I live in New Hampshire. Winter is 6 months out of the year. And come November, December, when the temperature drops, my creativity really shifts. So I realized like I hadn't touched my ukulele in a while, but it was because I was knitting instead. And there's something like really lovely about that like tactile experience when it's starting to get cold. And it is still a creative outlet. And that was so empowering, honestly, to recognize like I am allowed to build whatever structures I want around my creativity. I am allowed to let them ebb and flow. Just because I haven't done something in a little while doesn't mean I'll lose that skill. I'm just going to honor the whims of my joy is a phrase that I use a lot where what I want to do is engage my playfulness, engage in activities that really activate my inner child and just make me feel like fulfilled on sort of a metaphysical, spiritual level almost. And the truth is that that shifts sometimes. And so, there are months where I will write multiple songs a day, put out 2 albums in 3 months. And then there are months where I'm like, no, I just kind of want to knit by the fire and sip my tea.
Oh, okay. I love how you just described that because I think even in my own listening to it, there was like an unfurling of like what all of the noise out in the world, and it's not always social media, it's also like conversations at school pickup and all that kind of stuff around like consistency and like, if I want to like call myself an artist, I need to be doing it every day. Or if I want to meditate, then I need to do it daily.
Mm.
And there have been times in my life where I have gone months without actually like actively sitting down to meditate in that very specific way. And then there have been times in my life where I have been mindful, right? I have taken moments during doing the dishes or really like zooming in on my kids, like they're playing and I'm really intentional about like this moment and the labels around that and then the pressure to continue with this thing. I also neurospicy brain of like, so if I got really hyper fixated on this like journal process with the stickers and the washi tape and the highlighters and the pens, and then I like dropped it, does that mean that that time wasn't as meaningful or that those supplies aren't still there waiting for me when I'm ready to return to it? You're allowed to have that ebb and flow and follow that whimsy, follow that knowing. Yeah.
Exactly. Like nobody's making any rules here, right? We're not getting a report card at the end of the day. And sometimes I do feel that in myself of like, oh no, I'm not consistent enough. And then I'm like, actually, I'm a very inconsistent person. It is, one of the truths of the way that my brain works. And that truth allows me to also be very creative and sort of channel these songs. And so I have been doing a lot of work around my own like kindness and gentleness toward myself of like, you know what? I am always going to be who I am. So why don't I lean into that and find ways to flow with it instead of fighting against myself because that does not serve anybody.
Flowing instead of fighting the self. There's like there's something about that just like landed within me based on my own things that have been happening, conversations I've been having with people around this like this internal conflict, the bitchy inner critic and the inner monologue that's running all the time. And the that we're fighting that all like we're fighting it. And so the like freedom and the flow instead of or in replace of.
Mhm. So if I can toot my own horn for 1 second, I actually have a couple of songs about that have honestly like changed my life over the past year. I hadn't quite realized just how much like inner transformational work I've done over the past year. But it really struck me recently where I was like, wow, I don't really fight with myself like I used to. And honestly, there are 3 songs on my album Ocean of Emotions that sort of like helped me facilitate this. And so one of them is called Bully Brain. And it's sort of like this therapy concept of externalizing your brain and recognizing that like your thoughts are not you and you can talk back to that voice. And so some people will like even give that voice a name and be like, oh, shut up, whatever. I didn't quite go that far, but in the beginning when I first started this, I would think those mean thoughts again in a silly voice and be like, what do you think you're talking about? No way. So that was like a really helpful sort of foundation of I am not my thoughts and I have the ability to tell my brain to shut the fuck up when it's, being unkind or rude to me or speaking to me in ways I would never let my children speak to each other. So that was one piece of it. Another piece was suffer from what I call pathological humility, where it was like not acceptable in my family to brag. Like, and to a point where I've spent most of my life not feeling allowed to be proud of myself. Like anytime I would reach an accomplishment, it would just be kind of like, oh, okay, well, I did that. So it couldn't have been that hard. So let me move right on to the next thing. And I wrote this little ditty called I'm Proud of Myself. And it's just like, I got over my procrastination. I did this hard thing. It's done. I'm so cool. Yay, me. And it just became this like little opportunity to recognize like, well, I have a neurospicy brain. Procrastination is hard for me. I got over myself. I made that phone call I really didn't want to do. Yay, me, go me. That's awesome. And I would consistently sing this song to myself, like as I accomplish like little daily tasks. And it has like really been transformational in terms of like making my inner narrative a lot more kind and nicer to me. And then the other song is Worrying Has Never Changed a Thing, which is kind of like my big hit.
Love that one.
And oh, good. And that one I think is really helpful for reminding what is in our control and reminding ourselves of the fact that sometimes there are things that we can do about something. And if there is something we can do, like let's take action on it. But a lot of stuff is outside of our control. And there's actually nothing we can do about it, or at least not in this moment. And so giving ourselves permission to let some of those pieces go can really release a lot of weight on your shoulders. So, yeah, those 3 sort of in tandem like really helped me shift some of my own mindsets over the past year, which I had no idea were impacting me so deeply. But yeah, definitely feel it's much, much easier for me to now go with the flow and also to recognize like, oh, wait, no, a fight is coming up here. How do I like stop that and be like, shut up, brain, or like lean into what's easy, lean into what feels like it's in flow?
Thank you so much for sharing that with me. P.S. If any of people in my ecosystem, email list, clients are listening right now, don't be shocked if I end up sending you the link to Ocean Emotion because it is exactly, I think, what is needed right now. And especially music that you can play around your children that is not that is not Cocomelon, that is not any of those other really annoying children's songs. And so thank you. My gosh, thank you so much for this conversation, for wanting to be here with me and sharing pieces of your creative practice, the things that come naturally to you, the things that you struggle with, the ways that you've turned you've turned your music into something that is healing for you
Mm.
and for others. And I think it's just like a wonderful gift in the world.
Thank you so much. It's been so lovely to chat, Kayla.
Thank you.